Hello guys, King Wizard here today with a updated version of my red versus blue deck. And this is a minor update, but I also wanted to do some AI duels with it to kind of showcase how at least I play the deck, as well as with these new minor changes. So if you've seen my actual deck profile on this deck already, then you kind of already get the gist of it, so I'm not going to explain the concept or anything like that. I'm just going to go ahead straight into it. Um, the changes that I've made, I have cut out, I believe, one card of the red jewel, or cards of the red, whichever the actual name is. I cut out a cards of consonants, and I cut out a sacred swords. I did put the sacred swords in the side just because it's out of all the draw power cards, it's the one that has the most targets. Trade-in only has BLS and the three blue eyes, so there's only four possible targets. Cards of the Red has a decent amount with six targets, but Sacred Swords has eight with the two Fog Kings, as well as the Red Eyes monsters. So it's usually always more live, but I still feel like three is cloggy. Um, so I'm cutting all of my draw power cards down to two each, and even still it can be kind of cloggy. But I feel like sometimes more that's up to the shuffling engine of Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro. Um, so I've also I cut out one terraforming, and since Dragon Ravine is back at two, semi-limited with the new list, I can now run two Dragon Ravine and two terraforming. I do like that ratio, really. I feel like it's really good. It's pretty consistent. Um, there are some times where there are some duels that I've done where I haven't been able to get out a Dragon Ravine, and I've had a Malefic Red Eyes in my hand, and that sucks a lot, but there's still a lot more plays that I can do with it just because not only does that get a dark target in my grave, but it also gets a monster in my banished, so I can make it live with either my two new additions, DDR, or Different Dimension Reincarnation. Um, for this card, when I was making this deck, I really didn't consider this card. I completely had forgotten about it, and I'd like to thank this YouTube user. I'm assuming the name is just Fate. Um, Recommended different dimension revival. I'm assuming he meant DDR, different dimension reincarnation, because there isn't a different dimension revival. I guess it's possible that he could have mentioned that he could have thought burial from a different dimension, um, but that card wouldn't serve much use. Um, I definitely think he meant reincarnation. Um, but yeah, this card has been wonderful, especially with combined with Escape from the Dark Dimension. If you happen to read the comment that I responded to, um, DDR does have setbacks. The fact that it has a discard cost, and whereas Escape from the Dark Dimension doesn't. Um, Escape from the Dark Dimension is slower because it's a trap, so you can't activate it on your turn, and it only targets darks. But it's it doesn't come with that discard cost, and that is a good thing because there are some times where you really don't want to have to discard something, but at the same time, there are other times where you can go ahead and discard a White Stone of Legend, add a Blue Eyes, and then play Trade-in. So it's really kind of almost 50-50. I definitely like it at two because there are times where even at two, I feel like it like I can draw it and it's like I really want something else right now. So I feel like it at three would increase that the chance of that happening. Um, I realized that I took something out of the extra deck and didn't put something else back in. I think I was thinking, yeah, I wanted to test out. I took out Tachyon Dragon because I've out of the testing that I've done with this deck today, which I'm only testing with it for about 3 hours today. For about the past 3 hours, I just finished a duel right before recording this. I'm usually always dueling right before I start recording. Um, but I've managed to go into Dark Matter Dragon twice today out of just the past 3 hours. Um, and I really like that ratio. I think that's cool. So I definitely do want to keep the Dark Matter engine in the extra deck. Um, but contrary to the first video, I feel like extra deck space is getting pretty tight because there are times where um, either I could go into the dark matter and I could go into dark matter, but that's not gonna really set me up for game, and like it's not gonna get me game, and I know he can come back next turn, and so I feel like Felgrand would be a lot more effective in that situation. There have been also times where I didn't even consider the fact that this deck can now go into a level 7 or a level 7 synchro monster, because I did add a second Light Pulsar Dragon to basically increase my chances of getting a Chaos monster out on board, and as well as, Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon and Light Pulsar Dragon to, like, quote unquote loop is really awesome to have on board. Um, so the increased chance of getting a Light Pulsar out on board, and having a Whitestone and Legend in my hand to normal summon and go into a level 6 synchro, it's a possibility. And so I ran into that. I was like, I never even thought that that was possible. Um, a lot of times when I build decks that have the ability to go into multiple different things, especially with different levels of both synchros and exceeds, there are times where I don't consider all the possibilities. Um, and especially with, not just having different level monsters, but also different level tuners, both being a 2 and a 1. Um, I'm not sure how much use this is going to get, but if I find out that it's not really that good, then I might end up swapping it out for another level 7 Xyz, because really there's like I kind of contemplated taking out even Flare Metal Dragon for another rank 7 Xyz, or possibly another Felgrand. But I decided that I was looking, when I thought about it, I was like, every single time that I've even had the chance to go into a rank 7, I've always chosen Big Eye or Draco Sack, even when the situation like didn't really need it. Like, okay, I've usually when I can go into a level 7 or a rank 7, I usually always will choose Draco Sack if they don't have a monster that I can't get over. If they have a monster that I can't get over, then I'll just Big Eye it. Um, so it's never like so Flare Metal Dragon has never really came up. So I decided to, like, the match that I played right before this, I started recording this video. I decided to, just say fuck it and go into Flare Metal. And I did it, and I had a Dragon Ravine, and I had no Red Eyes in my grave, so I couldn't detach or anything. And my idea behind going into Flare Metal Dragon was to not only get a beat stick out on the board, him being a beat stick, but also be able to use his effect to, in the same turn, get out another rank 7 Xyz. So, he's not that much of a hindrance on the extra deck, and it's not an issue going into him over another rank 7 because he enables another rank 7 play. And so I think I used his effect to special Red Eyes, and then use Dragon Ravine to put another Red Eyes in my grave, and then use Silver's Cry to get that sent one straight back into another rank 7 play. And once I saw that, I was like, okay, he does have a lot of value in this deck. So I definitely want to keep him. So if anything, for the extra deck, what I might end up doing is taking out Clearwing Synchro and putting in another Big Eye or a Draco Sack. When I do testing against actual meta decks here soon, I might end up taking this deck on DN. I don't know, because I'd have to go into the OCG card pool, and I've never done that before, and I really don't want to face things like Clown Blade or anything like that, really, to be honest. So I might not test it on DN. I might go on like something like Dev Pro maybe. Um, but yeah, if anything, what I'm probably gonna do is take out Clear Wing Synchro and probably end up putting another Big Eye, maybe. I don't know. I guess I'll have to do more testing and see which one would come up more often. Um, so yeah, those are the small changes that I made to the deck. I do still run two Fog Kings, so if you're looking at this and you only see one, you're like, where's the other one? I moved it just back here just so I can line up the two stones. The white stones on top and then the two black stones right under it. I wanted to line that up just to make the deck look cool, I guess. Um, I do really love this deck though. It is extremely fun to play, and it is really good. And on top of that, I feel like the main deck is extremely cheap for the most part, and depending on like what rarities you get. Um, but yeah, I feel like it can be extremely cheap main deck, and it's not extra deck dependent. That's what I love about it, is that there's so many boss monsters that you can get out with just using the main deck. You know, you can Dragon Ravine to send a Blue Eyes to the grave, and then Silver's Cry it and get a 3000 beat stick out. Or, BLS is a fucking amazing boss monster as well. There's a lot of boss monsters that the main deck has as well, so it's not extra deck dependent. The extra deck is just for like high level power plays, I guess, or advanced power plays. Um, so it's a pretty cheap deck. So when the Red Eye support does come out, I might pick this deck up in real life, because it's a lot of fun to play. And honestly, I don't expect many other people to be playing it. And so like I'm not trying to say that this deck is anything rogue or not competitive, or I just really like this deck as a concept, and I don't think many other people have really thought about doing this. Any time that I've seen anybody play the new Red Eye support, it's always been with all of the Red Eye support. Like they're trying out all of the stuff. And I realize that I'm not utilizing that much of it because the only new Red Eye support that I have is Blackstone, Cards of the Red, and Flare Metal Dragon. But nonetheless, it is still using the support. And Blackstone of Legend is definitely, I would say it's definitely essential to the deck. There are times where I wish it was a tuner monster. I don't understand why it's not, honestly. It would fit in line with Whitestone of Legend a lot more. It would. I can't really imagine Konami designing Whitestone of Legend without like the Blue Eyes draw engine in mind. Playing Cards of Consonance with Trade-in your hand, and playing Cards of Consonance and on Whitestone, adding the Blue Eyes and then playing Trade-in. The Blue Eyes draw engine. I can't imagine them designing the card in a way that they didn't have that in mind. So the fact that they designed Blackstone of Legend to not contemplate that with Sacred Swords instead of Trade-in for the actual boss monster that it would add, or Blackstone doesn't do that, but it's just it's something that I really wish it was a tuner just to make Cards of Consonance more alive in the deck. But yeah, I guess that's the really only complaint that I have about the Red Eye support that I'm using, at least. The second effect of Card of the Red Jewel, to when you actually send the Red Eyes from your hand and then draw two, and then you have the option to send another Red Eyes, level 7 Red Eyes monster from your deck to the grave. I believe I've only done that once, and that was to help a Chaos play, or a Silver's Cry play. I really don't remember. But yeah, out of all the testing that I've done with this deck, I've only used that second effect once. But I'm extremely glad that it's an option. It's not a mandatory effect. Yeah, that's really the only, I guess, complaint that I have about this deck, other than every now and then pretty much straight bricking because of there's been times where I've drawn two Blue Eyes and then a Sacred Swords and a Card of the Red Jewel. So I just completely brick with my draw cards and my monsters that I have in my hand. that's the only complaint that I have. I've contemplated taking out, like just straight up taking out some of the different draw power cards, but I don't really know what I'd replace them for, because there's not much else out there, I guess. I think I could potentially type it or put in Draggard. I'd have to probably add more Galaxy Servants to make him live. I'm gonna go ahead and quit rambling and actually go ahead and duel with the deck. And yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at random. If it's like an Exodia deck, I'll just surrender. Okay, so it has an extra deck. Oh, wow. That's weird. Oh, and he chose me to go first? Okay. No. I hate that you can only activate one card of the Red Jewel per turn. But what I can do, go ahead and send him to the grave. And discard, I'll go ahead and send Galaxy Serpent. That'll make a Chaos play live if I happen to draw one. This deck kind of like with, oh, I'm facing Harpies. I haven't faced Harpies with this deck yet. But, and he's going to cast, oh, wow. One of the complaints I'd say I have about this deck, a lot similar to some of the other decks that I've made, especially in my casual Yu-Gi-Oh deck series. This deck can use a lot of resources, but it can kind of also go 50-50. Like, there are times where it does, and there are times where it doesn't at all. And, like, something that I've been thinking about a lot lately in terms of competitive Yu-Gi-Oh play, when you're deck building, is when like you have one archetype of a deck, but there's kind of two different good variants of it. If people try to mix those, there are times where it can work, but then there are other times where it's like one engine of the same archetype completely contradicts the other one. Imagine trying to play, like, imagine it being 2014 and, Soul Charge at 3, and, Infernities weren't completely murdered by any ban list. Imagine trying to mix the 4-axis variant. Wow, do I not have enough in deck? I don't know what's locking me out of this right now. Yeah, that was an unfortunate loss. I kind of bad opening. I've never opened both of my Card of the Red Jewel. But yeah, imagine it being 2014 and Infernities are at their peak, kind of, but mixing the 4-axis engine, and oh my god, this hand is awful. I've never drawn 3 of my Malefics in one hand, in my opening hand. That's pretty insane, but that is a pretty good top deck. No, I do not. I'll go ahead and summon one of these just to get a Red Eyes into a banished. Might as well set that. And then mixing the quote-unquote 4-axis Infernities. Sorry, I keep, jumping from the duel to the actual subject that I'm trying to talk about. But, imagine trying to play the quote-unquote 4-axis Infernities of last year that actually won Worlds. And then mixing the Synchro Infernity engine in with it at the same time. That's something that just wouldn't work. That Synchro engine adds to the inconsistency of the better engine. And that's something that, while it is cool that the deck has the option to do both things, it's decreasing the overall consistency of the deck. And that's really unfortunate, that's something that I saw a lot with in the Battery Man thread recently, and this person was basically, I'm not naming any names, but was basically mixing the normal engine, the grind-based engine kind of, I guess, that I run, or that me and another person on the thread run, which I genuinely believe is the better variant, if anything. Like, it's the more consistent one for this format. But then mixing in a rank 4 spam version of it using like triple A's, and all that's doing is decreasing the consistency of one engine. So what I'm getting at, what I'm trying to lead into is, I really don't feel like this deck it has that problem. I feel like the two engines really complement each other, and especially with the chaos being thrown in there, because it adds to that. You can use the blue eyes if you want. You could use the blue eyes monsters as just straight draw power, or and on top of doing that, it fuels to the chaos plays. Or if you want, you could use the blue eyes and special summon them and go into Dark Matter Dragon. Or you can use the red eyes to go into your rank 7s. And the engines complement each other so well because they're, for the most part, all of your draw power cards apply to both engines. Not like Cards of Consonance. Like I said, if Blackstone of Legend was a tuner, then I feel like the synergy with this deck would be pretty fucking phenomenal. But I'm probably going to end up losing here. Yeah, this deck does get stomped a lot by the meta. I'm not trying to say this deck is amazing by any chance. It's just extremely fun, and it does get out a lot of boss monsters. Unfortunately, for the most part, they're just boss monsters. So yeah, I can't synchro. I'm not really sure why. I'm assuming it's reclate. Not sure why. But I'm probably just gonna have to pass turn. Or, oh, shit. I do that every now and then. There are so many times where I'll test something, like I'll just be like testing my opening hands, and so I'll see what my opening hand is, and then I'll just hit surrender afterwards, like not even go through the rest of the duel, just to look at my opening hand. And sometimes I'll play with it just to see like how it reacts to a certain deck or whatever. So when when I duel against the AI, I happen to surrender a lot. So every now and then, for some reason, in my head, I get it mixed up with ending my turn. Oh, wow. So yeah, this is kind of what I mean with the draw power cards, though, is that they can get, you can get the wrong draw power cards in your hand. And that's something that is really kind of annoying. And on top of this, I don't have a lot of Escape from the Dark Dimension play, so I probably shouldn't have even said it. Especially now, because that Trish play, I'm not even considering what I'm actually facing. Kind of multitasking here. I'm not really playing at peak efficiency. But this is a bad opening hand anyway. Facing Necros, I definitely wasn't going to win. And it just keeps getting worse. Especially considering how he targeted that Cards of Consonance. I feel like cards like Trishula and Mind Crush, whenever the AI uses them, it's completely unfair. Because it knows, the AI will know what you have in your hand, even if you haven't searched anything. Like, there are games that I've done, and it's running a deck that happens to run Mind Crush. It will go first, set a Mind Crush, and then chain it to my draw phase, and then call a card in my hand before I've even done anything. The AI in this situation, nobody would know what exactly I'm playing without prior knowledge, and I didn't search anything, so there's no way the AI would know what I have in my hand, and it would always calls it right. There was a time when I was playing Batteryman, and it called, like, I think 9 volt. Most recently, earlier today, I was testing out a BA deck, a Burning Abyss deck, and it called Phoenix Wing Windblast before I could even set it at all or anything like that. So I have no idea why they decided to program the AI like that. It's very annoying. I want to get at least one duel in where I don't actually get mutilated by bad draws. I am playing pretty poorly as well. I am rambling also. But at least I have a rank 7 play in this first hand, and then this is an Exodia deck. A really bad one at that. I'm not like I've always thought that the two field spell rule that they added last year was weird because it creates these. Um, but I do actually love being able to have Malefic Red Eyes on the field. It is a great feeling. I'm thinking about a play. I wasn't contemplating that. I can go for every single time for some reason lately. Out of the testing that I've done with Flare Dragon, if I have the chance to get him out, I've almost always had a Ravine in my hand as well. Um, and I have an Escape from the Dark Dimension. If that was a DDR, I would be able to get into another rank 7. I would be able to go into 2 rank 7s in one turn. That would be really awesome. But so yeah, I don't know what any of the rarities of the Red Eye support is going to be. I'm not even sure if they've announced what set Flare Metal Dragon is coming in. I'm not sure. They probably have. I don't know. Um, but I'm definitely gonna try to pick it up. It's probably I don't imagine it's gonna be that expensive. It might be at first, but I don't expect the Red Eye support to be anything top tier because it's not that amazing. I guess it would be a little bit better if you could activate cards of the Red Jewel as many times as you want each turn. Um, but that's not the case. I feel like they put a decent limitation on it, so it's not too overpowered or anything like that. And wow, I just now realized that I forgot to say. That's why I wasn't able to go into Clearwing Synchro Dragon in that duel because I forgot to save the deck. Oh wow, scrubbing out over here. Um, but yeah, I'll definitely try to pick this deck up in real life and do when the Red Eye support comes out and do a deck profile on it in real life. Because I do really love this deck. I might not cover the entire extra deck when I do because I don't have any of the Xyz monsters, and I have I have like all of the rank 8s except or the level 8 synchros except for a Hot Red Dragon Arcfiend. And I don't think I've gotten into this card in this deck at all. Um, so yeah, that's this deck. These are the minor changes. That's how it works. It's how I play it. Well, I wasn't playing it super well, but yeah. Um, if I'm gonna change anything again, it's probably gonna be minor uh changes to the extra deck, like maybe putting in a second Big Eye or a Jakusak. And to the main deck, again, the only thing that I'm probably gonna end up changing is the number of draw cards that I'm running, or the ratios of my draw cards. Because as you can see, it can be really annoying when you do draw them, but you don't draw the corresponding monster. It can get very frustrating. Um, it doesn't happen too often, but it happens enough to where it's kind of a problem. But I need to do more testing with it. I need to get the maths down. Um, the ratios down, I guess I should say. But yeah, um, again, I just kind of want to thank Fate here, IIX Fate XII for reminding me about DDR. Um, because I have used this card in the past. When I was building this deck, I had completely forgotten about it, and it does work wonders. The cost it can be kind of a bad thing, but it can either you could either potentially ditch White Stone of Legend to add a Blue Eyes to your hand, or you can just use it to discard a monster to add to a Chaos play, um, as well as putting a monster on board. Um, so yeah, it's a great card. a great addition to this deck. Great, especially combined with Escape from the Dark Dimension, because say if you have like an escape set and a DDR in your hand and a Chaos Monster, you could just summon the Chaos Monster, banish 2, and then play DDR and Escape from the Dark Dimension and get them both right back. I've never done that, but I've gotten one back from, like, I've made like a Light Pulsar just to banish something, and then I think it was a Red Eyes, and then I just escaped from the Dark Dimension, did it right back. But I've never done both. That would be really badass if I was able to do both. It is possible, but it's kind of unlikely. So yeah, thanks for watching. This video is probably way too... I need to really quit my rambling. I did not realize that this is a 30-minute video. So yeah, thanks if you've watched all of this. Usual outro. If you like this, if you have any tips or suggestions, thumb up the video, leave a comment. If you want to get in contact with me, you can send me a message over YouTube, or you can send me a message on Pojo. My username on Pojo is listed in my channel description. Thanks for watching.